Mr. Eisman, who was depicted by Steve Carell in the movie The Big Short,
We're getting screwed by the big
made
bank.
a lot of money in the housing market 2008 by betting against it. My general understanding is that going short demands much more sophistication and skill than going long. When you go short, you have the time against you, while you go long, well, then you can always wait. Sooner or later, things usually get better again. Mr. Eisman seems like a very nice and kind person. Here he is in an interview with Swedish television.
You're one of the people who have been shorting Tesla, betting against the Tesla stock.
It has not worked yet.
No, it's not worked yet, but it doesn't prevent people. This is the largest bet in Wall Street history against a single company, at least according to Mr. Elon Musk of Tesla, isn't it? And it's been going on for a very long time.
I don't know if that's true. If that is the biggest bet, that's a large statement. I mean, it's not a big.
Certainly, you're not alone this time.
It's also not the biggest short in my portfolio.
No.
It's very hard to short a stock that's a cult.
Sweden, which is a messed up country in a collective psychosis, still manages to be functional in commercial fields such as this excellent interview. Eisman points out 2 good points to why Tesla might face challenges ahead. Well, actually 3 points. The first one, the tax breaks are going away, and they are pretty substantial. I bought a Tesla for $120,000 2-3 years ago, and I got $10,000 in tax break because of that. That tax coming back will make his cars considerably more expensive. Secondly, heavy competition coming this year. Yes, a lot of old school car manufacturers are coming with electric cars this year. But understand, those are like the same cars as they do today. They're just electric. They're not like 20 years ahead like Tesla. And then third, he questions whether or not Mr. Musk can build a mass market car.
You know what? Talking to people who actually own a Tesla is very amusing. I was in San Francisco in late August, and I went to the home of some friends, and they said, "So, Steve, what are you short?" And I said, "Well, I just started to short Tesla." And the reaction I got across the table was, "Well, I own a Tesla. How could you be short Tesla? That's a great car." The whole room was like upset. But then I asked, "How many cars do you have?" "Oh, I have 3 cars and a chauffeur."
Oh.
So just remember something about cars. Cars fail. In other words, you got to take a car to get fixed. There's an accident. You need a place to go to fix your car. Now,
unless you have 3 other cars.
Unless you have 3 other cars where
it
doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. So, when you're buying a $65,000 to $80,000 car and it's your 3rd car and you get into some type of car accident and it takes a month or 2 to fix the car, it's not a big deal. But when you're buying a $30,000 car, that's your car. And you can't wait a month to have your car fixed. He doesn't have the infrastructure to service the cars. That's where I think the big risk in the company long term is.
Not only have I never had any problem with service in either LA or San Diego, like this is bullshit. Obviously, most people who have a Tesla use it as a regular car. Like, they don't have private drivers. They don't have 3 different cars. Like, Tesla is way, way more common than to just fit a little super small niche market of, like, probably billionaires that he's referring to. In fact, most drivers you see in this charging station on Tesla will be like, the typical driver, I would say, would be like a 45-year-old Asian, like, dentist or something like that, a doctor, that kind of style.
As we get closer and closer to the autonomous driving world, you're going to see a real shift in the way people look at GM. Not all investing is 100% rational. So people who look at car companies, they only care about 2 things. What are the monthly sales and how long is the cycle? That's all they care about. Now, there'll be a conversation that will take place over the next year or 2 where a tech analyst will go to his portfolio manager and he or she will say, "I have one of the 2 leaders of autonomous driving and the stock is selling at 4 times earnings." And his or her PM will say, "You mean 4 times revenue?" Mm-hmm. And no, 4 times earnings. And they'll go nuts because they're not going to believe it. There are actually two leaders in autonomous driving today, and that is Google and GM.
So GM and Google is really ahead? I looked into this. I don't think GM is a bad bet. Worst case, it can catch up fast with its financial muscles and long-term friendships with regulators. The regulators who I believe will hold Tesla back until GM had time to catch up. They would just hold back the self-driving or automatic driving regulations. Two things I question with Mr. Eisman in this interview. Well, if you spend so much money going short on a car company, why didn't you ever own one? Wouldn't having owned a Tesla be relevant to this opinion of whether it is a good car or not? Second, these sources he refers to, are they the same sources I find online? Because when I read them and then scroll down to the comment section, most other readers seem to have the same input as me. As one commentator puts here, congratulations to GM and Waymo on their self-driving non-existent vehicles. Another guy points out that it's just political, and the fact that Tesla has billions of miles logged while other cars are still driving around in some like test phase, car testing phase in downtown looking silly. So I sold my Tesla because I wanted to buy Bitcoin. My dog didn't like it. Maybe it had something to do with the electronics or magnetic. And I never used it since LA traffic is basically the hell on earth. But I can't say anything bad about the car. It's 20 years ahead. And I once fell asleep on autopilot while heading down from LA to San Diego in rush hour. I woke up alive, perfectly located in the middle of my lane, moving me a few miles closer towards my destination than where I had fallen asleep. Tesla, on the other hand, I would like to see either being able to raise money in a recession or produce its first fully autonomous car that in at least one jurisdiction can drive without a human at all at the seat. At that point, my plan is to go in big. I estimate there be an opportunity in 6 to 12 months from now. My criticism against Eisman's bet is not about shorting Tesla. I can see that it makes sense. Decent probability of success. My criticism is that he never owned a Tesla, and I think first-hand experience with a product adds valuable understanding about a company, whether you decide to go long or short. I got that understanding from reading Peter Lynch, one of the most successful fund managers of all time. I can definitely recommend his books, such as One Upon Wall Street. What do you think? Till next time, ha det gött.
This will be an interesting year. I'm not wedded to the short. You know, I just think there are a lot of issues. It's a very expensive stock, and it's more likely than not, I think, at some point here he stumbles, and that will hurt the stock.